What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the OddsShopper channel, coming to you with a Week 10 edition of NFL Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. I don't know why I'm smiling on the front end. I'm not very happy because I think I've ran pretty poorly here this week between Monday Night Football having that last-second touchdown, between Thursday Night Football having basically another regulation last-second touchdown. They go for two, don't get it. Wish it had been the inverse there, so I had gotten whatever. What can you do? What can you do? Again, sometimes in the NFL, things don't go your way, and that is okay. But overall, it's still been all right for me here the last couple of weeks. Well, we were running really hot in these primetime spots on Monday night, Thursday night, even the Sunday night stuff for the last 3-4 weeks. I guess some run bad was coming my way, but let's not run bad here on Sunday. We're going to break down all 12 games going down. We've got a Gemini game going on in the front end. On the back end, we got a Detroit spot that's kind of an interesting one that I want to talk through a lot of different things, and found a wild prop that I think has some nice value depending on if you can get it inside of -120. We'll talk about the ins and outs of that. We got tails. We got Bet365. Talk about them throughout the program. If you want to support this program, check me out in tails. There's lots of ways to do it. Or check out Bet365. Bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets, plus this awesome Thursday touchdown thing. I have a $100 bonus bet now that I can utilize at Bet365 because there were 10 touchdowns scored on Thursday Night Football. Make sure you take advantage of that Thursday Night Football single game parlay promo every single time you can. It's going to be good stuff. But anywho, enough dilly-dallying. Producer Jacob's ready. I'm ready. Let's get to the picks. And our first stop is in Germany, heading to, it's going to be fun. Deutschland time. Giants, Panthers. A couple of pieces of news here. One, Chuba Hubbard got paid, and I want to just scream, because in the year of our Lord 2024, NFL teams shouldn't be paying $60+ million to their running back position, or I don't know, also using up second round draft equity on a guy with a torn ACL in addition to paying nearly $60 million. That is Miles Sanders wrapped up in a $25 million deal, and he's not even seeing the field. Chuba Hubbard got paid 4 years, 33, which is a gigantic number, although he probably deserves it based on what we've seen. And now Jonathan Brooks. This is potentially the activation that we've been looking for here for him for quite some time. He was a stud in college. We're going to see him be a stud in the NFL if he can just stay healthy, because that's kind of the name of the game when you're a running back. J.K. Dobbins, I'm looking at you. He stayed healthy this year. As for the Giants side of things, yikes, that was an ugly, ugly loss. But Malik Neighbors, he finally got involved in that second half after zero catches, 0 targets from Daniel Jones in that first half. I'm starting to think Dable doesn't exactly know what he's doing. I think Giants fans have thought that here for a while, and that's, well, an interesting spot because, again, this is not on the road in Carolina for what it's worth. It's a neutral site in Gemini, and, well, the Giants 6.5-point favorites against anybody. That's freaky. We've talked about it, producer Jacob and I, at length here. There's a couple of spreads that I do think we're in alignment with, and alarming numbers, although there are no locks on spreads. We have a lock on a receiver prop. That'll be fun. But I'm looking at one thing and one thing only. I've bet it. Ja'Tavion Sanders. This is a tight end who's now going to be playing over, I think, all of these guys. It doesn't even matter with Tommy Tremble gone or anything else like that. It doesn't really matter at this point in time. We're going to continue to see him be kind of a standout. He was a standout at Texas. I think he broke like every tight end record there, but not that Texas is like tight end U by any means, but I really think this is a low number against a Giants defense that should have their way. You break down the 4 complementary pieces of football: offense, defense. I think the quadrant that I like the most is this Giants defense. I think they're effective, but I think there's a lot of scripts where, yeah, Bryce Young, he's going to have to throw it, going to have to find out ways to be successful in a game they're expected to trail. I think Sanders is pretty sneaky here. Nothing sneaky about this one. New England taking on Chicago, and Caleb Williams, not been the guy who was promised. It's starting to go the direction of, I mean, we could go down the line with Bears quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Rex Grossman back in the day. I mean, there just haven't been, nobody's really panned out post Jay Cutler, which is wild to say out loud. But Drake May, he's kind of infused a little bit of a goodness, I would say, to this New England offense. We're starting to see some signs of life with certain pieces, specifically Hunter Henry here. So as we kick off the 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time games, well, it's going to be a spot where you kind of want to stay away. And this is probably the game that nobody really wants to watch. I think defensively, there are some pieces that are going to be out from both sides, specifically the New England side, I think, that are going to matter in terms of like the breakdown defensively. And maybe Caleb Williams can find some rapport with DJ Moore, because that just seems like something that talk radio is running with here at the moment. Not that I pay attention to that much stuff, but DJ Moore, really no rapport so far. Keenan Allen, not exactly the same slot guy. Part of that is because, he should send flowers every single time to Kellen Moore out there in Philadelphia, offensive coordinator there. He made the slot a thing for CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. He made the slot an absolute thing for Keenan Allen in 1 year with the Chargers. And now, well, this is going to be an interesting one too. 38.5, I think, is a little bit low because I repeat, there are some injuries. You got Julius Peppers, obviously, he's out. He's on the reserve list right now. You've got White, Ellis. You've got a number of different defensive pieces. Yeah, that's really all I have. 38.5. Didn't want to expand on something that I'm not going to be betting. So, yeah, let's not bet this. Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby. Buffalo, 3.5-point favorites going to Indy. And I'm going to start with this. I am very, very strongly contemplating taking the 3.5 with Indy or flat out taking the money line. I think we could get a better number than plus 172 if we just sit and let the people do their thing here. And it's weird because Buffalo's been playing great, Eric. What's such a problem here? Well, I'm going to talk about blitz rate here for a second. And this is the thing I wanted to highlight in this section the most. As you start to simulate out this game, I think there's ways that Joe Flacco has a massive, massive ceiling here. And it's a little bit sneaky because Joe Flacco at the helm, they said they're going to do this for the rest of the year. Anthony Richardson, love the moment between him and Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell. God, we got a good one over there in Minnesota, but love the interaction there. But hey, it's not really going to help him out here this year as he's sitting there just learning behind Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco, I think, has an awesome opportunity. Yes, Michael Pittman is out. That sucks because that is definitely an alpha wide receiver who hasn't played like it this year. And part of that is purely because Anthony Richardson has not been very good. But with Flacco at the helm, it's going to be Josh Downs season, and his numbers are insane in terms of catches. 6.5, the listed number here. Yes, it's a little bit of plus money now currently. Actually, no, it's minus 105 now. 6.5 catches here for Josh Downs. That's a massive, massive number, and I totally get it because we're going to see 9, 10 type targets in these spots against a Buffalo team that blitzes at the second lowest rate in the entire NFL. And wouldn't you know it, Indy just got done playing Minnesota, number 2, and Houston, which was in the top 5 until last week, now number 7 in terms of blitz rate here. Those are two defenses that really get after it and got after Anthony Richardson in that week 8, and then Joe Flacco in Minnesota week 9. Much better spot at home against a team that, again, I like Indy's offensive line. I think they're going to give him time. I think this is a carve him up spot, but don't sleep on Khalil Shakira. We got Keon Coleman. He is going to be out, going to be missing this game here on Sunday. And you've got a guy in Amari Cooper still working on that rapport, still coming back from his hand issue. So we've got lots of opportunity for those two. Hey, this seems like a fun thing to do. I think Khalil Shakir at 59.5. I like the over of that, but even though we don't have the Indy passing props out yet, I'm projecting this to order the receiving yards. We don't. We have the catches for whatever reason. It's on my sheet, but we've got Josh Downs here. It's going to be north of this number. I think maybe taking just Shakir at the minus 110, having Downs here. I like both of their passing expectations. I haven't bet it yet, which is why it's a lean like right now, but kind of want to do my shopping, check out all of the different books, see where this is best played, but I'm very bullish on both wide receivers in this respective spot. But I repeat, Indy, very, very sneaky money line bet, I think. Yeah, I bet this, and you should bet it too. Minnesota at Jacksonville here, and Minnesota 6.5-point favorites that you've got going up here in the corner. And whoa, Trevor Lawrence going to be out for this one. Who are we looking at? Yeah, they signed CJ Beathard, add him to the fray, but the band, whatever. But it's going to be Mac Jones. Who? Mac Jones. Get Mac Jones up off the low because Mac Jones not about to blow. I mean, Mac Jones blew in New England, that's for sure. But I don't think he's as bad as what we saw in New England. There was no talent around. We are seeing some signs of life. Yet again, I said Drake May. He's been all right up there. But Ramondre Stevenson was dinged up for a lot of that tenure. Didn't exactly find a ton of success there through the air either with the absolute morons that he had to throw the football to, that is for sure. Other than Jacoby Myers, I think for 1 year. He had Jacoby Myers there before he went to Vegas. But man, Mac Jones is a weird one to be looking at only inside of a touchdown for my Minnesota Vikings. A two-way football team, effective in terms of special teams and also offensively, defensively, just impressing across the board, getting TJ Hawkinson back in. Didn't have to go nuts. They eased him in, 4 targets, 3 catches, 27 there against Indy. They were in control of that one defensively, getting after Joe Flacco and made it a little bit easier on them. Again, some of those blitz packages that you're seeing Flores put together here for the Minnesota Vikings. Couldn't have asked for a better tandem with him and Kevin O'Connell in a million years. With O'Connell and this offense, Jordan Addison, nice to see him back. Had a big game with TJ Hawkinson out on the field. It wasn't even, Josh Oliver had 5 catches for 58 and a tutty. It was an incredible all-around win from Minnesota, and I think they keep it rolling here in Jacksonville. This defense really offers nothing. I'm very shocked that this is inside of a field goal, inside of a touchdown. The main reason this isn't a lock is I don't want to hear the homerism. I really, really don't. I really don't want to hear it here. I generally bet against my Minnesota Vikings more than I do the inverse, but we're going to back them on the road here. Minnesota, 6.5, straightforward, -115 at Bet365. Let's talk about them now. Bet365, friends, bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets. And I repeat, that Thursday promotion that they have going on for Thursday Night Football is so darn ridiculous. It would be silly if you're in one of these 11 states showing up on your screen right now where Bet365 is available. If you didn't sign up and take advantage of that offer, again, North Carolina, come on and raise up. Take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter, as well as all the other great states that you have before you. Colorado, check it out. Iowa, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Arizona, New Jersey, Kentucky, Virginia, and Louisiana. I did that completely out of order, but you know what? It's a good time to be alive, and it's a good time to be in one of those states and sign up at Bet365. One more time on the screen for the people. Bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets, only if you're 21 and over, 18 and over in Kentucky. If you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. I think this is probably the most difficult game here on the entire board because Denver, their defense, they just got eviscerated, completely eviscerated by Baltimore. A lot of teams are going to get eviscerated by Baltimore. You still saw some decent stuff from Bo Nix. He's starting to come a little bit alive, starting to show some promise, starting to get the ball downfield a little bit more. But against this Kansas City defense, I mean, it is just... Spags is going to go completely nuts in this one. I'm just going to say Kansas City's defense is going to go after Bo Nix. Maybe some scrambling numbers to be paying attention to here, but overall, I find this game very, very unappealing. For one, 41.5 total seems even a little bit high to me. I would be leaning towards the under. Second off, we don't have a lot of anytime TD numbers because we were waiting on Juju Smith-Schuster, who did end up getting ruled out here for this one. And I think that kind of opens up even more opportunity yet again for DeAndre Hopkins to keep things going. This is the best quarterback he's ever played with. In fact, he's kind of been hampered, been held down by quarterback play his entire career. And he's had a damn good career at that already. But man, he could really elevate things here in the later stages. I mean, he's on the back 9 of his NFL career, and yet he's starting to show out here with Patrick Mahomes. It was really nice to see. Well, not for the rest of the NFL, that's for sure. How about Xavier Worthy being in complete zero as well? We were seeing Patrick Mahomes with terrible numbers when targeting Xavier Worthy, and then he's like top of the class, like you would expect, targeting everybody else. So Xavier Worthy needs to figure his shit out. But DeAndre Hopkins, 9 targets, 8 catches, 86 there. That 30-24 W that they found against Tampa Bay, again, did not need that extra touchdown from Tampa Bay. That was hurtful. Under 17.5 would have been a lot of fun. But anyway, DeAndre Hopkins, only thing I'm even paying attention to from this one, the Kelsey numbers have gotten outrageous again, as you would expect with all of the pieces that they're missing. Rashee Rice specifically. DeAndre Hopkins, over 49.5 receiving yards. Probably won't play it, though. Now to the game that I probably spent the most time researching of anyone that ends up just being a lean, but hear me out. Atlanta, 3.5-point favorites heading to New Orleans. And I think producer Jacob made some good points too before the show because he threw out for the people, man, do spreads seem a little too easy this week? And this was one that we were kind of looking at, and it seems a little bit too good to be true to be getting 3.5 on a New Orleans team at home. But let's lay the foundation here because, well, first off, they just lost on the road to Carolina. Congrats to Carolina, win number 2. Never great when you're losing to Carolina at anything, especially if you're Duke basketball. What up? High five self. But anyway, New Orleans, Marshawn Lattimore, he gone. He's off to Washington, and we will cover Washington here in a little bit. They needed to bolster their secondary, and they got the secondary piece that everybody was interested in. Not really sure what to make of this New Orleans defense without him, but it's a divisional matchup. It's at home, and you definitely still have some pieces on the offensive end that are very, very intriguing. Specifically, Alvin Kamara had a phenomenal game, absent Kendre Miller, who was on the IR, and Jamal Williams, who I also expect to miss this game too. Sounds as though he's uncertain, might have re-aggravated something in practice on Thursday or Friday, one of the two. Just seeing the alerts and making sure that I'm paying attention, keeping the nose to the grindstone, or in this case, the iPad. It is what it is. But sorry, I shook my camera. Everything's good. But New Orleans overall, Derek Carr back at the helm. We saw offensively that there were some good things here, and firing Dennis Allen was definitely a positive. One, I thought he was the worst football coach in the NFL as is. Two, I think this is one of those weird narratives that people just throw out there, and I think it's crazy. I'm not looking at New Orleans and leaning towards the plus 3.5 in any way, shape, or form because Dennis Allen got fired. But it helps that I thought he was a detriment to this offense, and we've seen it unchained with some other pieces here. Kubiak specifically there as the offensive coordinator. I think there's a lot of ways where New Orleans offense can play better than what we've seen in previous weeks. Specifically, though, it's the Derek Carr being back there, not having Spencer Rattler and whomever else at the helm. Was it even Spencer Rattler? I can't even remember anymore because it's just been so long. Again, I spent so much time looking at this game. Spencer Rattler, and then Jake Haener ended up coming in for like a hot cup of tea there. 17 passing attempts against the Chargers. It is what it is. But I'm very much here for New Orleans in some capacity. I'm just not sure how. I don't know how to do it, Captain. I don't have enough power. Plus 3.5, the New Orleans side. Nobody's going to get that reference either. Just a lean for right now. But boy, if this gets to 4, if this can come down from the minus 115 that it sits at right now, I think we're going to have to fire this one up. And it has nothing to do with just a coach firing being random, although that coach was very, very bad. San Francisco, Tampa Bay here, 6.5 San Francisco on the road. I feel bad because Baker Mayfield has been awesome this entire year. One of the highest rated grades that I have for a quarterback. He's top 8 right now. But Tampa Bay's schedule is a joke. The NFL schedule makers need to absolutely repent for their sins. Look at this. Washington, at Detroit, home against Denver, home against Philly, at Atlanta, at New Orleans, at home against Baltimore, at home against Atlanta, on the road against Kansas City, and now San Francisco comes to town. That is bar none the worst schedule in the entire NFL, and it's not fair that you have to do it now without your top 2 wide receivers again this week. We saw Tampa be very competitive with that Kansas City team. Came a couple plays here, couple plays there away. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes and company a little bit too high voltage, and then that defense, man, they look pretty good against a Kansas City defense that I have a lot of respect for, even with nobody, because Cade Otton is him. In fact, Cade Otton, I think this is a really good spot to potentially look at laddering up receiving props. Now, I know there's a lot of people in the comment section, a lot of people who you're going to take this play and you're probably going to make it a parlay piece rather than bet it individually. I totally get it. Cade Otton over 5.5 receptions is minus 155 at DK, and it should be minus 170. It just is what it is. It's too low of a number, but if you want to go to 7+ receptions and get some of that plus money in your life because you don't want to be laying minus 155 to make 100 or something, lower or higher than that, something in that regard, I totally get it. But I'm obsessed. I do think San Francisco is going to get ahead in this one. They get Christian McCaffrey back. They have the bye week. Looks like Brock Purdy and they had a fantastic little time out there in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Beautiful spot. Definitely check it out. Him and George Kittle and their families hanging out, living the life because they got to know. Cade Otton, though, he's going to know catching a lot of footballs and getting hit a lot because San Francisco is going to allow him to go 4 or 5 yards downfield. Only like 5.2 per catch here. What is going on? Oh, yeah, but he's going to get targeted a ton. Pittsburgh, Washington. This is going to be a fun football game. And at the beginning of this season, did you see a 6-2 Pittsburgh team and a 7-1 Washington team matching up here? I think they're 7-1 or 7-2. It's one of the two. Let me double check. Now I'm second guessing myself, questioning the meaning of life. We should always do that from time to time. It keeps us healthy. 6-2 Pittsburgh team, 7-2 Washington team. I'm glad I caught myself. The comment section would have been off the chain. Anywho, off the chain is Jaden Daniels in his rookie season, looking phenomenal on the ground, looking phenomenal through the air. However, Washington did not go out and get a wide receiver here at the deadline, which I thought was a little surprising because it felt like a 1-year buy-in, go do the thing, make it work, make it hurt, do the things that you need to. But McLaurin, Noah Brown, Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. He'll be out there running routes and doing his thing. You still got Zach Ertz. You still got Benson out because you got to know. I've done that twice now. But I'm looking at the Pittsburgh side here. It seems a little too good to be getting 3, doesn't it? Seems a little too good considering this defense. I know that neither of these teams have really played difficult things. We're going from a Tampa Bay spot where I'm talking about them having by far the most difficult strength of schedule to Washington and Pittsburgh, where I have them at 30th and 29th respectively. I think PFF is at 31st for Washington, 28th for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that is a pretty wild discrepancy in schedule making. Again, of course, I have under 9.5 wins for Pittsburgh, and that's never going to come to fruition. But got some hope in some other spots. As for Pittsburgh here, overall, Russell Wilson, he got a little bit of help with Mike Williams. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would call that help based on what we saw from him with the Jets, but that's beside the point. It's an upgrade over some of the other pieces. Excuse me. You still have Calvin Austin. You still have Pat Freiermuth. And you have Russell Wilson, who's played very, 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 very well through 2 games against the Jets, against the Giants. Well, Washington's defense is much easier than I think both of those spots are. I have more respect than most for the Giants defense, and the Jets defense, everybody has respect for. So there should be points. There should be an opportunity for Pittsburgh to get this one done. 44.5, I'm not going to touch that total here, considering the defensive respect I have on the Pittsburgh side. I'll just take the points. +3, give it to me. Give it to me. Should probably stop saying give it to me. Give this to me, though, friends. Give me a chance to show you all of my plays every single week. We've had a lot of fun here over the NFL season, and the MLB season was a banger, but NBA is really getting started. We're starting to rev the engine Friday. We'll see how this comes to fruition. We're just about to get started and get underway there, but I'm recording this on Friday afternoon. There are a lot of plays that I don't know what I'm going to do as of Saturday, Sunday, but I can guarantee you everything that I have will be posted in that Tails Discord. Well, you can get it for free right now by signing up with one of these partners, 11 of them on the screen. You simply follow these 4 steps. 4 steps. You got any of those promos. If you haven't signed up with them yet, sign up for them, deposit, place a bet, take a screenshot of your welcome email and first settled bet, and email support@oddshopper.com. I'd love to see you there. Once again, throw up all 11 on the screen one more time, producer Jacob. Would be awesome to see you guys there. And also, we just got word that Drake London is going to be playing. Forgot to bring him up a little bit earlier. I had a feeling he was going to play, but anyhow. Back to the picks. For the people in the back, yes, one more time, Drake London. I expected him to play. Hip pointer. It seemed like they were being cautious with him because they were smashing the faces off of Dallas. But Tennessee +7.5 going to Charger land, Jim Harbaugh land. My God, this football team is starting to do some things. And I think it's been widely thrown out there over on X here at this point in time. Neutral pass rate. Now, what are we talking about when we talk about neutral pass rate? Well, we're talking about games where Vegas has this between 20% expected win and 80% expected win. So that middle ground. What do teams do there? Because generally outside of 80%, well, you're going to be like 80% plus, you're going to be running the football when you're dominating. When you're 20% or less, you're going to be throwing the football almost exclusively. So you kind of want to remove those outlier type situations, or not even outliers, but like end of game type situations, stuff like that can be very noisy in the data at the end of the day. It's kind of the way that I feel about Baltimore, where their rush defense, it's number 1 in the NFL, just in terms of yardage per play, 32nd in the NFL in pass yards given up. Probably not a great example based coming off of the 30 bazillion points, 34 points. But yeah, Jamar Chase, 260 plus, 11 catches, 3 tutties that we saw on Thursday night. Yeah, their secondaries had some problems. Tre'Davious White probably not going to be the answer for them. But I want to talk this neutral pass rate again, because the Chargers have really started to turn it on. They're top 5 in the NFL in neutral pass rate over the course of the last 5 weeks. Why is this such a big deal? Well, you're going to take on a Tennessee team that has Will Levis and Tony Pollard's questionable. We're looking at this right now, but the Chargers have basically just started throwing the ball, getting up and allowing Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey to do their thing, and then run the ball with J.K. Dobbins in the second half. It has been clockwork, and they've done it against some pretty decent defenses. And I have respect for Tennessee's defense above what I thought about them coming into last season. In New Orleans, Lattimore was there week 8. Week 9, Cleveland on the road, 64 there again for him. But we're starting to see Ladd McConkey become a little bit of a target monster. 6+ in every single week since week 3. We're talking 7+ in every single one of his last 5 weeks. This is a lot of opportunity for a guy who's generally averaging north of 12 yards per reception, 12.3 on the season. And I reran numbers multiple times here because I was just very, very curious if what I was seeing was true. Because again, this is not a team that we were expecting to at any point decide to start airing out the football. But they really, really are. And this Chargers team has all of the pieces to be able to make it work because the offensive line has been giving Justin Herbert time. Rashawn Slater is an absolute beast. I loved him out of Northwestern. There aren't many offensive linemen that I basically like hitched my wagon to, but Rashawn Slater was definitely one of them. Because think of how good Northwestern was and then how bad they were in the aftermath of that. You got Joe Alt, who's been pretty darn good in his first season out of Notre Dame on the right side. They've really shored up the tackle positions. And even Bozeman, who's been a bad center over the course of this season, he's still not asked to do a whole hell of a lot here, kind of the patchwork on the ends. That is very, very important with Landry and Key on both sides of this Tennessee edge secondary. So why am I bringing this up so many times when I'm about to bring up a receiving guard prop? Well, giving your quarterback time, seeing a team that is going away from what we thought the fabric would be under Harbaugh, and getting McConkey in the slot, he has been awesome. 48 snaps last week. We are seeing him with the 25th out of 128 graded wide receivers. So we're talking in the top 80th percentile. And Johnston's stretching the field a little bit for them. Josh Palmer can play some possession for them. I love the Chargers passing game going forward if they continue to give Justin Herbert this leash and that offensive line stays healthy. In fact, ran the numbers multiple times. I'm probably going to have more interest in than just Ladd McConkey, but I've got him north of 65 yards, and that is putting him in the lock category. Yes, minus 114 at FanDuel, 54.5. I expect this to be in the 60s by kickoff on Sunday. If not, we probably haven't done our job. Let's bet this thing up. 54.5 receiving yards is too low for Sir Ladd. Between him and Brock Bowers, I mean, Georgia just had a ridiculous situation for a couple years, didn't they? The Jets, they have kind of a ridiculous situation. They said bye to Mike Williams. He's gone. Well, they finally won a football game against Houston, made Houston look pretty inept. In fact, one of the fun numbers that I was running, I went over to kind of all the normal places I go, PFF, Pro Football Reference, checking out Fantasy Points is a great one as well. But love all these sites that have this information. But EPA per play, Houston was horrendous passing the football. Nearly a negative 10 expected points on the number. 9 expected points in the positive column, though, with the run game. And that has me a little bit scared to try to fire anything off in this one. And there are two kind of glaring examples of like buy low wide receiver type numbers. And I think Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, we'll see him still involved in the passing game, but like Breece Hall is going to be carrying the major workload for the Jets. James Conner, barring health, because again, he was dinged up in practice here this week. I think he'll be good to play. I have no issue with him right now. I put him at his 100%. I think James Conner could find some success on the ground here too, but these passing numbers are just so damn low for what we're looking at in a dome in Arizona and a 46.5 total. Marvin Harrison is at 3.5 receptions here. Pretty neutral juice, minus 108. We've got Garrett Wilson over 5.5 receptions, minus 120 at FanDuel. I expect both of their receiving volume to be higher in a 46.5 total, but kind of nervous about both teams finding success with the run and just grinding out some clock, finding ways to get it done there, because Arizona, they've outperformed from a defensive perspective. They have the second most difficult strength of schedule for what it's worth. They've had a horrible strength of schedule, just like Tampa Bay has this season. Arizona second. Yes, number 2 for me. Number 2 for PFF. There you go. Marvin Harrison, that's a low number, though. Garrett Wilson, that's a low number. Oh, God. Alan Lazard, stay on IR, because I'm probably going to bet the Garrett Wilson one at some point. Philly, -7 taking on Dallas in this one, and CeeDee Lamb dinged up in practice. That's not really going to be an issue. What is Dak Prescott out with a hamstring injury in this one. I think one of the major reasons that, again, this is like one of those glaring spreads where I can't imagine this isn't going to be 7.5 just about everywhere. It started to trickle up to that 7.5 number in some spots with some nice, well, I guess it's like even money to go towards the Dallas side if you're looking for it. But we got Cooper Rush back in our lives. And Cooper Rush, once upon a time, I think people looked at him out of Central Michigan. He was the Chippewa once upon a time, for people who care. But probably one of the more undervalued quarterbacks in the NFL, and did a great job of being a backup. He's going to be a lifetime backup here probably. He's not good enough to stay out there, but like he found ways to be 4-0. I think, no, 5-1 over the course of his last tenure when Dak Prescott was out. Here's the major difference. That Dallas team's defense is not what it was when Cooper Rush was out there once upon a time, but they're starting to get healthier. They're starting to get some of those pieces back. So offensively, they're in shambles here at the moment with Brandon Cooks out, with Dak Prescott. He's the most important part out, but they're starting to get some kind of relief. This is also Jerry Jones, who's going to go out and try to do everything he possibly can to motivate. He's a leader of men, but we got Smith questionable from the offensive line. We got Parsons questionable on the defensive end. I think they both end up playing. I think Zach Martin ends up playing there with that arm issue. There's so much news that's going to dictate what I end up doing, because I'll probably want to buy plus 7.5 on the Dallas side if all of those guys end up in. But as of right now, somebody's going to end up out at this point in time. And I think that still has me looking at Philly. They're going to be able to run the football in Dallas because everybody is able to run the football in Dallas here at the moment. So it's just a lean on the Philly -7. What I could do, because again, 7.5. It's not as intriguing as 2.5 or 3, but you can kind of play vig free if you get in at the right time on these type of numbers. I'm going to try to pounce. If you want to know more information about how I go about that, hit me up on X at Eric Lindquist, or just DM me in the Discord. I would love to explain it. And Sunday Night Football, we've got Detroit at Houston in this one. Detroit, I did tons of number running here, and it's really hard to know what they're going to do because they just basically say, come beat us at the line. Like, their offensive line is by far number one in pretty much anybody who evaluates talent. Anybody who does this remotely competently watches Detroit, and it's like, yo, they are pushing everybody at the line every single time. And kind of got me looking into a market that I don't think I've ever thrown out on this video. I've thrown it out a couple of times from the receiving side, but I'm looking at a rush spot here. Now, Houston, we talked about their defense a little bit earlier in this program. They got, I wouldn't say embarrassed against the Jets, because, I mean, there were some ridiculous catches. That Garrett Wilson one is still absurd. Jump man. I don't think Adidas liked that. I think it was Adidas he's with. But anyway, Houston, they're going to be still floundering here. They didn't have a very good day airing out the football. Got to give your guy time, CJ Stroud. The Jets, not really a team that's going to go out and blitz at any kind of a high rate too, but still was running for his damn life out there, and it was difficult to watch. But without Stephon Diggs there, Nico Collins has a chance to get activated for this game, has a outside chance to be activated. It would be a huge addition because Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, you go through some of these snap rates, and I was going through it because Xavier Hutchinson, 75% of the snaps, Tank Dell, 73%, John Mechie played 63% of the snaps, and Robert Woods at 49%. These are not guys that you want on the field. Nico Collins, over the top, that is what you want on the field right now against a Detroit team that bolstered their defense, adding Zadarius Smith. Unbelievable addition. You add that to Branch, who's just been top of the class besides getting ejected last game. Good job. But I'm looking across the board. There's not something that I like from a prop perspective as much, other than, of course, the Lad McConkey lock, than this over 15.5 longest rush yard prop on Jahmyr Gibbs. Did you know he is just continually finding one of the most explosive players that we've seen in a while? I know he was at Georgia Tech to start off his college career, ends up there at Alabama, shows out, number 12 pick in the draft. I mean, I know way too much about Jahmyr Gibbs. I hate the pick still, because why do you take a running back at 12 unless they're going to change your entire life? But they have him as the change of pace back from Mr. David Montgomery. Still David Montgomery going to be just a beater still. It's a crazy 1-2 combo, but he continues to exceed this number like every single time out. And that's not the best analysis in the entire world. What is that you get to go straight up against a Houston team that has shown that they can stop the run from time to time, but we're talking the best offensive line here. Some pieces on the Houston side lacking. Can't believe I'm tipping my toes into this one, but Bet Rivers currently the best spot where you can get this. I had to pay a little bit more juice. I'm just fine with this inside of -120. And that does it for the Sunday edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks here. Week 10 in the books. Hit that like button down below. Let me know your favorite plays in the comment section down below as well. I'm going to get the heck up out of here. Check out Tails. Check out Bet365 if you loved and enjoyed this program. Tons of great stuff coming your way. Monday Night Football I'll be covering, and then NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks every single weekday, Monday through Friday. Thank you, producer Jacob. Good stretch. Good big stretch for a big boy. It was creepy to say at the end of that. How I talk to my dog. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NFL streets on Sunday.